you mentioned that let's say you brought someone up from the audience, a woman, and you would have them speak.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
go over
the
that.
idea of the workshop was basically having I'll just go over that just again. So having, around 20 people in the audience and actually doing like a live experiment and showing them how people would react and why they would react a certain way. So you would just have an audience member come up and you'd be like, okay, this woman comes up here, what do you think about her? Like you can see the way that she's dressed, this means this, the way that she moves, does she play with her hair, is she nervous? The way that she stands, the way that she responds, pretty much every little detail, like does she blink too much? Does she smile? Does she smile really wide? Does she, look away often? Because in a thought process, people, when they're creatively thinking about something, they tend to look away a lot. And it can be misconstrued as lying, because it looks like they can't meet your gaze. But what it actually is they're really trying to find an answer. And it just depends on the person, too. But there's a lot of stuff I was also mentioned, emulating a certain look. Like, we tend to feel a lot and base our judgment internally and externally on things that we constantly see over and over again. And so we've been kind of socially conditioned to get reactions from things and see things as status symbols and, feel more valued and justified as people or as ourselves by basing it on someone else's appearance and trying to a lot of the times we could be projecting things that we don't actually want to project, and that's why we're getting into situations that we don't really want to be in, or that we're not capable of handling, I should say, because sometimes you get a good situation, you just have never had it before, so it's overwhelming because you attracted it to yourself.
So not knowing some of the stuff, like you're saying, the touching the ear or brushing the hair, could be a sign of them wanting to do business with you or not doing business with you. So you need to kind of know how to see these things to either shut up or change the subject, or maybe
open a new dialogue.
Open a new dialogue.
Yes,
so this is something that you could be able to teach.
Exactly. This is something that I could definitely show people, and even in themselves. There's a lot of times, when you're talking to someone, you can tell if they're kind of interested or not. But then you also have a perceived expectation. You really, like, let's say you meet someone and you really want to close the deal. It's like, instead of actually hearing what the person is saying and hearing the reservations and their concerns, which you could probably easily, if you listen to that, you could probably easily address those things and put them more at ease. Instead, a lot of times people will barrel through with their rhetoric and their answers that they've already formulated because they really want those talking points and they really want to, just hammer in that it's a great deal, you really need to sign here, kind of thing. And what that does is instead of maybe you have a great deal, maybe you're a great salesperson, or you've got really good motivations. It's your delivery, it's your presentation, it's do you care, can you hear, and even sense on other levels what anxieties, frustrations, concerns, and even curiosity that your target is feeling. It's like your client or your potential client, they need to feel on all levels that they're cared for, that you guys are aligned. And if there's any little thing off, if you just don't click, then it puts up, and then you'll get stuff like, if someone has a nervous habit, they'll, you might see them just brush their hair back, and it looks very natural, and most of the time people won't pick up on it. Or, like I've actually seen this where like a guy, usually a guy, because girls don't like to mess up their face all that much, but like a guy will sit there and start, oh, that's interesting, start playing with their eyebrows. And it is a thought process tick, but it's also, they're anxious about something, and they're trying to figure out what your underlying goal is. Like, what is the agenda? And, sometimes guys will put their hands up on their waist. I've seen that a lot. Girls tend to cross their arms or put them behind their backs because it's more feminine and expected. And then sometimes they'll also do a lot of shifting. So they'll shift body weight. And typically when someone's leaning in, when they shift body weight in, they're more interested than if they shift away. So it's a lot of the positioning and the way that someone stands gives a lot of tell. It's facial expressions as well. You know, someone may not, there's a lot of people that are quick to smile, a lot of people that aren't. So it's based on obviously unique experience, but one of the things too is we are, all of us, you know, are inherent when we like something or are interested in something, we do crack a little bit of a cheek rise, a little bit of a smile. You know, it just happens. And so if you're talking to someone and you've noticed that there's not any motion going on in this area, chances are they've already been done with you 5 minutes, 10 minutes ago. And they're being courteous and they're listening because they feel obligated because it's a social expectation. They don't want to be rude. They don't want to feel like they have made any kind of, you know, mark. They just want to be like, okay, as soon as they stop talking, I'm going to go over there and grab a drink. You know, so... So yeah, or they're looking around a lot of times, and this is more, obviously, more people pick up on this, but a lot of times looking around a room, there's a difference between processing an answer that's been directed, you know, a question's been directed at you and you're sitting there trying to think about something, and there's another thing to be said for what's called shifty eyes, and it's just like, is there anyone else to save me? Like, I really need out of this conversation. I'm looking around for any familiar face that I can just gravitate towards or hail over. You know, so yeah, there's a lot of tells.
For more about people and their traits and all these other stuff, follow the link at the end of this video, and we'll have something together with Brandi in the near future that we could all have you attend and learn more about actually being able to read people more and get out of the conversation or be more focused into it.
Yeah, I'll definitely teach you how to start a conversation, how to follow through, how to feel what's going on in the conversation, whether you should leave immediately and just, you know, turn, tail, and run, because there's lots of flags that are good for you to pick up on if you're wasting your time or the other person's. And I'll also help you close deals, because it's just all it is reading body language and giving them what they need to know.